Hi, and welcome back to Rugged Mountain Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and today we're going to be looking at pantry storage. Pantry storage, creative storage in small spaces. As many of you may know, Dean and I downsized from about 2,800 square feet down to 1,100 square feet when we moved out to Southwest Colorado. So that means I had to get really creative with things like a pantry when I am trying to create a self-sufficient homestead. So let's take a look at the pantry. It goes underneath the stairs. So even on the inside of the closet, there is that decrease. Okay, as you can see here, I have a shelving unit. This unit is just one of those plastic units that you get in Walmart. This is sturdier than what you would think it would be. It goes all the way back against the wall. And the biggest thing about pantry storage in small spaces is to be organized. I keep all my spices, seasonings up here. Everything that is in these small bottles are things that I dehydrated and are out of our garden. But as you may notice, everything is in alphabetical order. Same with the spices back here. This is a container for black pepper, but I'm storing bay leaves in it. So we have bay leaves, black pepper, chili powder, cinnamon, cumin, garlic, onion powder, and oregano. Then I keep my second shelf basically for all my baking things. And the things that I use most, I keep up front, and things that I'm going to use just for when I'm doing baking, that's not an everyday thing, I kind of keep more toward the back. All the canned goods that I'm going to use right away are on this shelf down here. And then I have some old Tupperware containers that actually give you more space because they can act like drawers. And I just made labels with our label maker to let me know what's in there so that it's convenient, that I don't have to open it up and look in it all the time to, when I'm looking for something, needing something. And then it keeps me accountable not to throw stuff in there that doesn't belong. Same thing here, I have extra tea bags. And then this is a convenience as well. I have large gallon jugs of apple cider vinegar and white vinegar and balsamic, things like that, but I keep them in these really easy to use regular size jars. Since the ceiling starts to go down, I can't have another large shelf like that one. So I do have another one, but it only has 3. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make this more utilitarian and just keep things, up here that I can reach real easy. My vinegars, keep everything together. I have my oils, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and then all my cleaners on the very bottom. I keep all of them together as well, and they are able to be 2 deep. This may look difficult, but it's really not that bad. These are my 5-gallon buckets. Even with it becoming very, very narrow, I can still stack them 2 deep. And so what I do is I have the 5-gallon buckets for flour and sugar because I use them the most, so they're up front. And then I have one for spices and 2 for pasta. The ones in the back I don't use as much. There's oats, rice, and paper plates. In the far, far back where I don't go that often are just things like extra leaves, more jars, things like that. Things that I can take a moment to pull out, but I don't need to real often. This is also a utility closet, as you can see off to my left. I have my vacuum cleaner, mop, and just some Swiffer pads, things like that. And believe it or not, this closet holds a lot of stuff. It's pretty organized, and I know where everything is and am able to get to it. I also use things like this, even though I have 2 5-gallon buckets of pasta in the back. You know, these little things that hold pasta so that you can grab it, you know, right away. Nobody wants to constantly be going into those 5-gallon buckets. Those 5-gallon buckets are for storage. And then once a week, I will go into them. And what do I mean by once a week I will go into them? Basically, like you've seen a lot of other videos, I'm sure, of people doing weekly kitchen resets, things like that. That's basically what that's for. What I do is I use these 1/2-gallon jars from Azure. They don't look like they're 1/2-gallon just to look at them, but they are. And so once a week, I will pull those out and I will refill these jars. Now, I don't always go through the oats. I probably will go through once a week. The rice, I don't. So I don't have to, you know, pull them out as often. The beans, I can my beans, and then I do have, I know it's hard to see, I do have 1/2-gallon jars of like lentils, dried pinto beans, and then of course my canned goods, where I can beans. So these are the convenience item, and those are not. Those are if I want to soak them for some reason and do it that way. I do a lot of home canning, as you can see. And this is an old cabinet. It was handmade. It's obvious from different aspects of it that Dean knows more than I do. And we got it at a thrift store. We brought it home, cleaned it up. I lined the shelves, and Dean put on new hardware, and it is as good as new, and it is deep. A lot of these jars up top, they are 3-pint jars deep. You know, same thing for the quart jars. It just really provides a lot of storage space. But I also use the top. Even though I do have some decoration, I also have things up here that I use. I put our fireplace matches up here, and my box grater, you know, and our cookie jar, and my mortar and pestle. So think about it also that you can use your everyday items to kind of decorate as well. You know, if you want to hang cast iron on the wall, we use a lot of wall space as well. We use wall space to, we bought those little coat rack, the pegs, and we hang all of our coats, hats, jackets, you know, on those. The thing about using small spaces is we don't keep a ton of stuff anymore. We consume, we have what we need, not just a ton of stuff. We used to have a hall closet that was so deep and so large, full of all different types of coats and jackets, and I can't even remember what else, that we didn't use. We used basically a jacket in the spring, a coat in the winter, and that was basically it. We were guilty of overconsumption. As you can see on top of these cabinets, I also just do some decorating up there. I don't put stuff up there that I'm going to use because it's too high. This is a corner cabinet that was my grandmother's. So in the top here are everyday dishes for us. You know, there's some things in there like a teapot that we don't use every day, but basically the plates are in there. We have some bowls in there. We do use those every day. The bottom, I have more jars. We have used hooks underneath of our cabinet, and then we just use our coffee cups and hang them by the handle. We have 10 up here, and these are all of our coffee mugs. We kept 10. We do not have any coffee mugs in our cabinets. That saves more space than you realize. I also keep everyday spices in a spice rack hanging on the wall. Dean made this for me. And then if one of these are to go empty, I fill it from what is in the pantry. So you may be saying, Sarah, I've seen your Azure hauls and I know that you get more supplies than what's in that pantry. And that's correct, I do. So let me show you another way that we store. Yep, we are outside. Now, do we just have stuff out here? No. But we do have outbuildings. This one in particular is considered to be mine, and I'll show you why. This is a tough shed. It is on a foundation. It has a solid floor. Dean's working to get insulation put in for me. I keep all of extra jars, my dehydrator, my roaster actually goes in here, but I'm leaving it in the house for right now because I'm making a lot of broth during this season. Keep my chicken feed out here, dog food, cat food, garden stuff back here. We have an extra case of water. Oh, this was probably from the summer. And then over in the corner, we have Christmas decorations. Okay. Now, this is a shelf. It's very stable, very sturdy. It is those metal shelving units that you get from Home Depot. That's where we got this. And then I just use this area to store my canned goods like tomatoes and just all the extras that don't go in the house all at one time. I kind of use this as like a mini grocery store shelf. So, you know, I have trash bags and sandwich bags and all of my bags, extra canned goods and things that I want to buy by the case. And I only take like a handful in there at a time, but I have them stored out here. Is it safe, you might ask? And yes, it absolutely is. And why is that? You'd say, well, there's a lot of sheds where mice get into them and everything else. Like I said, that storage building is on a foundation. Dean made a foundation for it when we got it. And then it also has crusher fines around it. We do have this buffet here as well. This was also another dining room piece that was my grandparents'. Now, the top section I do not use. I do not use it for like any of my regular storage. It is my grandmother's china and water goblets given to me by my son. So that is for safekeeping. Those are heirlooms and I'm just not going to let go of them. But down at the bottom, I will use these drawers. I use this for all my dish towels, my kitchen dish towels, that is, silverware, dishcloths, and then just all my table linens down on the bottom. The biggest thing about living in a smaller space is you have to learn not to over-consume. You have what you need and a few wants, but you don't have this overwhelming amount of clothes, just sheets, just for every little occasion. You have what you need. And like I said, I do have a set of sheets for the Christmas holiday, but I don't any longer have 4 sets for just Christmas that just sit in there for rest of the year. We also use wall space. I have cast iron hanging on the walls, the wall behind the wood stove. And right now I have a quilted wall hanging because I do like to decorate for the holidays. I still decorate for every holiday, just not as grand as when my kids were home and little. Most times my frying pans aren't hanging on the wall because they're in use. And so they'll stay on my stove top or in my oven things like that. The rolling totes, you can use those. They are flat. They hold a lot more than you think they do. You can roll them underneath the bed. We keep all of our bed linens underneath there. We also use it to keep a heating pad, just different things that you would think, okay, in the bedroom, I might need this. And then we just roll it back underneath the bed. No cluttered closets, nothing extra to have to clean out and keep up with. And that's the thing that we learned, is that when you have a ton of stuff like we used to, it basically owns you. And a lot of people, you've probably heard say that, and it might sound a little cliche, but it's true, because the more you have, the more you are responsible for, to clean, to dust, to keep up with. And it can get stressful, and it did. So basically, what I did when learning to live in a smaller space and having to get creative about it is that I went and I researched homes of the past, because homes in the 30s and 40s were not these 5-bedroom, 3-bath, huge, gourmet kitchens. They were to put a roof over your head, a place to enjoy family, and to prepare meals. You basically had your laundry, and your ironing board and things like that in your kitchen workspace. Go back and take a look at those homes. And that's what I did. I realized that, you know what? I don't have to have 2 walls of kitchen cabinets, because I can use regular furniture that you may just have sitting in your house, and you would never think to use it for food storage, for everyday dishes, things like that. So you can still have your wants. I do, hanging around here, but I also make a lot of our decorations. I quilt wall hangings and make some banners and things like that. And it's okay to have things. We just need to be mindful and not overconsume. What I'm really excited about is this winter, one of Dean's projects is he is building bookcases up in our loft, floor to ceiling. Now you do notice that we have an A-frame type ceiling. That was probably really bad, and I'm sorry. So they're going to be built from floor to ceiling, so they will kind of narrow as they go up. And then probably on a top shelf, we can put some items that we may use when we're upstairs, like my GoPro, the batteries, the extra things, so they're just not sitting around on an end table. So we can put all of our books. Dean and I both are avid readers, and we love books. And so that way, the books that we kept, that we love the most, that were special to us for some reason, or just that we really, really loved and didn't want to get rid of, or books that you don't find anymore, that they don't have or sell anymore, unfortunately. We kept copies, and we will keep them on our shelves. Now we've learned to rotate, kind of like one in, one out. So if I get a new paperback and I've really enjoyed it and read it, I'll usually send it on to my mom, or I'll send it on to somebody that may be interested in reading that book. And then I have space for a new one coming in. So I'm really excited to get those shelves up there. Use your wall space. Use your door space. I don't think I showed this, but the pantry door, I have a large hook here, and you can get them in different sizes. And this is where I hang all my aprons, because why are they hanging here? Because this is the kitchen area, and I'll come into the pantry for something, and then all my aprons are right here. I keep a calendar right here, just so that I can look at it at a glance and know what is going on appointment-wise or anything like that for the day. I hope that I was able to give you a few new ideas. At least you can see what we're doing, and it's really working out well for us. We still see areas that we're like, okay, we could probably pare this down a little bit more, and we will. But this is working out well. I still have things in my building that I like, such as Christmas decorations, but I also have things that we need. Dean has a shop, whereas that used to be in our house. It used to be in the basement. We don't have a basement, so he has his own shop. But mainly our house is to enjoy each other, to have meals with family and friends from time to time, and basically it is a working, living space. So again, I hope that I was able to give you a few tips, kind of give you some insight on what we've done, paring down from a large space, a large amount of stuff, to something that is more comfortable for everyday living, and yet still being prepared for anything that may come our way. Also, as a reminder, our Friday night lives have started back up, so I would love for you to join in on that every Friday. I know that we have some new friends in our group, and I'd love to see you join us. They are on Friday nights. It starts at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, and 4 Pacific. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for stopping by the homestead. We are always so glad when you do. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, take care.